Something's going on with the Arctic and it's not natural. The melting Arctic is covering itself in a warm layer of clouds. This is on Live Science by Rafti Letzer. So that's the bad news. The Arctic is melting, as the Antarctic is melting. But the Antarctic is different. It's got like about 100 volcanoes underneath. The Arctic, the first ice-free summer is coming there. The whole melting process is speeding up the warming of the whole Earth. Every autumn, a layer of extra clouds form over the ice-thinning Arctic, and researchers now are starting to believe that it's speeding. The speeding is melting up. In a take, March 4th, at the March meeting in the American Physical Society, Ariel Morrison, the atmospheric scientist at the University of Colorado in Boulder, presented his research for the first time, offering his answer to how the melting ice in the Arctic is changing its clouds, and how those clouds, in turn, are also changing the Arctic. He says right now there's about a 20-year estimate between 2040s and 2060s. We're expecting to see the first ice-free summer. That's shocking. Ice-free summer in the Arctic. Morrison told Live Science this moves that towards the earlier end of the estimates. Modeling how clouds impact the Arctic is complicated, he says, because they have two different effects. They reflect light coming into space, reflecting light back into space before it can hit the ground, and they act like a blanket that traps heat from escaping from the planet's surface into space. The first effect cools the ground, and the second warms it up. When the sun is out, every cloud does dual duty, reflecting incoming light back into space and reflecting radiating heat back towards the ground. So it can be difficult to know whether in any given situation clouds are doing more to warm the surface or to keep it cool. Until Morrison's research, scientists were not sure if the changing cloud situation in the Arctic was speeding or slowing melting overall. There were just too many factors there taking place. Clouds are also famously difficult to study in climate science, they say, in general, and in the Arctic, complicating matters even worse. The ice-free North Atlantic Ocean that has lots of cloud cover in the sky but no sea ice due to the warm underwater currents that keep the ocean surface above the freezing point. And Morrison developed a mask that cut out all the noisy, unnecessary extra data from the North Atlantic so she could get target regions where the clouds were actually relevant to the melting. Once she narrowed down the model to target the clouds she was focused on, Morrison found that the melting Arctic is not dramatically changing the reflecting, cooling effect of clouds. In the summer, most clouds in the Arctic form from moisture that flows through the atmosphere from warmer southern areas of the Earth. So the yearly increase in open water in the Arctic does not have a big effect on total cloudiness during the months when clouds are most crucial to reflecting light back into space. She says if we had found that summer clouds were responding to sea ice loss, so you melt some ice, a cloud forms on top of it, then clouds would have this negative feedback with sea ice. In other words, as sea ice melted, clouds would do more to cool the Arctic. But it turns out the summer melt has no significant impact on the clouds. But Morrison found things are different in the fall. During those months, as it turns out, the sky above patches of open water are much more likely to be cloudy, and those clouds do much more to trap heat than to reflect light into space. It's very, very seasonal in the Arctic, she said, because the Arctic only has sunlight for about 6 months out of the year, and it's strongest in the middle of the summer. So only in the middle of the summer, only in the middle of July, do clouds have this cooling effect because they're reflecting away more light than they're trapping. And the rest of the year, more clouds means more heat, and during the fall, less ice also seems to mean more clouds. So as the Arctic melts, it's effectively covering itself in a seasonal blanket that makes that melting happen even faster. Morrison said she hopes her research will, for the future, factor into Arctic climate models so that they can more precisely plot the future of a quickly warming region. Her research has yet to be published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal. But I guess she will, obviously. So yes, that means that this melting here in this area, of course, will happen faster. And this is an article dated March 7. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.